and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to be talking about more of Israel's war crimes and just the reaction to their war crimes and the insanity of their war crimes, because I think it's worth just chronicling everything that's going on in this genocide of Gaza, because we said never again when it came to prior genocides, and it's just shocking the amount of things the average person is willing to tolerate. And even more shocking, what the governments of the world, the supposed democracies of Western world, are willing to tolerate. Because it seems like in a lot of Western countries, the overwhelming majority of people want a direct intervention to stop this conflict, to lead to a long-lasting ceasefire. But the governments of the Western world are deep-throatedly supporting Israel. So let's just look on with what's going on here. And we start off with a post by Abby Mortin, who says, "We keep hearing that Hamas are the Nazis. Meanwhile, in the Jerusalem Post, which is an Israeli newspaper, it says, Israel should make Gaza look like Auschwitz, a council head has stated." So just shocking that they think that depraved acts, war crimes, genocide occurred in Auschwitz, and they think that that should be occurring again in Gaza as well. We see here the number of journalists killed in various conflicts throughout the last 100 years, and from October to December in Gaza, 89 journalists were killed by Israel alone, by one side of the conflict alone. In Vietnam, it was 63 within a 20-year period. In World War II, the largest war in terms of casualty numbers, there were only 67 journalists murdered in a 6-year time span. Okay, so we're looking at, in a few months, Israel, one side of the conflict, murdering more people than the largest wars with the most casualties in history throughout the past century. So Israel is doing far more in terms of what seems to be deliberate, intentional harming of civilians, deliberate, intentional harming of people like journalists, and we even have diplomats here. Where's the diplomat one I had? Yeah, here we have the Israeli army killed a French diplomat in Gaza. Okay, he died of his wounds after being injured in an Israeli airstrike on Gaza. So it does not matter who you are. The bloodthirsty, genocidal Zionists will try to murder you. Okay? Moving on, it says, the United States seeks legitimacy for its naval coalition against Yemen. So Yemen has been doing more to help Gaza than any other country in the world, at least officially. It's hard to know exactly how much countries like Iran are doing, but in terms of the public eye, Yemen is just punching far above its weight class, as I like to say. They are causing insurance costs to go up, ship insurance. They're causing trade to be circumvented, to go around places such as go around Africa instead of going through the Yemeni territorial waters, things like that. And so this piece goes on to say, after Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates refused to join this anti-Houthi coalition, now China has effectively ignored the U.S. call to join Operation Prosperity Guardian against the Yemenis, according to Politico. So countries like China and Russia, their ships are allowed to pass through Yemeni territorial waters, but Western countries that support Israel are not. And so this gives, in terms of a trade advantage, it gives a trade advantage to places like Russia and China, who are very strongly supporting Palestine in this conflict. And so you love to see it, because for the one time in many, many, many years, the good guys seem to be winning. So it's sad how many casualties our side has to take in this conflict, but the good guys are definitively winning. And so that is something to be happy of, proud about, because a lot of people are losing their lives trying to allow this to happen. So this goes on to say, the Israeli Defense Force says Israeli hostages in Gaza were holding white cloths on a stick when Israeli forces mistakenly shot them. So I've talked about this in other videos, but it really is shocking to see that even Western media sources are admitting that the Israeli military is firing on civilians waving white cloths who do not have their shirts on, so they're not like suicide bombers or anything like that. And they're admitting it. They're admitting that they're doing this to their own Israelis, okay? So they're definitively, obviously, it doesn't take that much of a leap of logic. If they're doing this to the Israelis, then they're doing this to the Palestinians as well, okay? Which, again, whether they're Israelis or Palestinians, if you're waving a white flag, you're not supposed to kill that person, okay? So these are war crimes. And Israel is committing nonstop war crimes on a daily basis. Like, I could come up with a video every single day, 8 to 10 minute video every single day easily about the war crimes that Israel is committing, because they're evil. They're just evil. There's no other way of putting it. But luckily, people are waking up to the evil that is Israel. Here we see Ollie London, who I believe is someone who is very pro-Zionist, but unfortunate for this being, this thing, whatever it is, people are waking up to the Zionism, how hostile Zionism is towards all human life. So he goes on to say, new poll finds staggering levels of anti-Semitism in America. 67% of 18 to 24-year-olds think Jewish people should be treated as oppressors. Okay, so if you are talking about the rich, the wealthy, the oligarchs being oppressors, and then others who are not a part of that capitalistic merchant class being oppressed, then yes, absolutely. In terms of wealth, the Jewish Americans are the wealthiest group. And so if that's your lens that you look at the world through, then yes, Jewish Americans are the wealthiest. If I remember correctly, they make up 2% of the population, but 40% of the billionaires. And in terms of the most money, not only in America, but in the world, they are the wealthiest ethnic group. They are the wealthiest religion per person, on a per person basis. And so, yes, if that's the lens you're looking at the world, they would absolutely be considered oppressors versus the oppressed. And so I don't particularly like that lens of viewing the world, but that is a lens. And so if that's the lens you're looking at, oppressor, oppressed, then yeah, they would definitively be the oppressor class. Next up, you have 44% of 25 to 34-year-olds. That's my age demographic. Think Jews are oppressors and should be treated as oppressors. Okay, so as you get older, fewer people understand the Zionist control of things like media and entertainment, because they were propagandized before the decentralization of knowledge that came with things like the advent of the internet. And this source here for the poll is the Harvard-Harris poll. So it's interesting to read about these things, because I've talked about this in other videos, but there are some reasons that younger people are hostile towards Zionism that I think are legitimate, and there are other reasons that they're hostile towards Zionism that I think are illegitimate. I think if it's based off of things like racism, so they're hostile towards the Zionists because they view the Zionists as white, I don't think that's good. If they are hostile towards Zionism because the Zionists are make up the majority of money when it comes to funding political campaigns, and their lobbies are extremely influential to the point where they're allowed to attack American ships such as USS Liberty and murder Americans without consequences, then yeah, I think that's a good reason to be hostile towards Zionism. And so younger people understand this to a much greater extent than a lot of older people do. So interesting to see. And I hope that they come around to the good reasons to be hostile towards Zionism instead of the bad reasons to be hostile towards Zionism. But things are going decently well for what I would consider to be the good guys of the world. So that's what I'll leave you with today. If you found this video to be informative, please give us a thumbs up. It does help us in the algorithm. Please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and Rumble for more content. Tell a friend about our channel. We are being suppressed in the algorithm, and we would appreciate you helping us out through word of mouth if you think someone might be interested in this type of content. Leave us a comment in the comment box below. Questions, concerns, critiques. I do read all of them, and I do respond when necessary. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.